In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to sew a Queen Anne neckline blouse, as you can see right here. So I'll be taking you through the process of drafting and sewing this blouse. It also has a surface cording. I'll be dropping the link on the description box below. So to start off this tutorial, you'll be needing a plain pattern paper. Here is my center front and here is my shoulder line. I'll be taking my vertical measurement right away. From the shoulder, I'm going to place my tape to take my bust points, my waistline, under bust, waist. Then the full length of the blouse, I took it at 27 inches. So I repeated the same process to get a straight line. So I'll go ahead to rule my line across. So here I have my vertical lines. So the next line we want to get right now is the horizontal line. I'm using 3 inches for my neckline and 7.5 inches for my shoulder. So I'm dropping my shoulder at 1 inch. So to get the armhole, we'll be calculating our chest line. So the chest line is bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. My bust is 40 divided by 6 plus 1.5 is 8 inches. So I'll place my tape at the shoulder drop and I'll mark 8 inches. So our total of it plus the shoulder drop is 9 inches. So I'll rule my line, then measure my shoulder divided by 2 on the chest line, connect with a straight line. After that, you get the midpoint of the chest line. Mine is 4 inches. I'll go in by 0.75 or 3/4, connect with a straight line. Then on the chest line, I'm going to measure my bust circumference, divide by 4. My bust is 40, divided by 4 is 10 inches. And I'm going to connect that 10 inches with my curve ruler. So I've created the armhole line right now. Next is the waistline. So I'll take my waist, divide by 4 and mark. So next is to connect the chest line, the bust to the waist, but I'll just mark the lines. Then the hip divide by 4, I also marked it as well. So I have all my lines. So we want to take the bust span measurement, divide by 2. So I have 3.5. So I'll mark it on the bust point, on the waist and on the hip and connect with a straight line. After that is done, the next is to take the measurement of 6 inches from my shoulder and I'm going to connect it to the chest line. So I'll just connect it with a curve ruler with a straight line to create the Queen Anne neckline. So what I have between the 3 inches, I'll get the midline and connect it to the bust point. So after that is done, we can now create the over bust dart. So I'm taking 0.75, 0.75 on each line. And then I'm going to connect it to the bust point as well. So if you're on a bigger bust, you take 1 inch on each side. So here, I'll take the measurement of what I have and add it up because the other part will be shorter because of the curve. So I have 1 inch shorter. So I just increase that 1 inch and reconnect that part to the center front to create the sweetheart neckline. So if you close it up, this is what you are going to have. So the next thing I want to do now is to go over to the under bust to contour or tighten the under bust. So the tightening of this under bust, it all depends on your bust size. So if your bust is 38, use that width of 2.5. If it's 40 to 45, use that width of 3 inches, and if it's 36, use that width of 2 inches. So with this little chart I made right here, it will serve as a guide for you to tighten your under bust effectively. So within 36 downwards, 36, 34, use that width of 2 inches, but 40 to 45, I'm using bust 40, so I'm going to use 3 inches that width. So I'll put 1 inch on the center front side, and then I'll put 2 inches on the other side. So whatever your bust width is, always put 1 inch on the center front side, and the rest you place it on the side of the bust. I'll also put 1 inch from under bust waist to hip. Then I put 2 inches on their sides. So if your bust width is 2 inches, just put 1, okay, and it works perfectly. So I'll connect from the under bust to nothing, I mean from the waist to nothing. Then I'm going to curve in with my pattern ruler for the under bust contour line. So you can see how I contoured it. So the shaded area, I'm going to cut it off accordingly. So after that, cutting it off, the next is to start taking our complete measurement. So I will take my bust circumference and take away the dart. So what I have is that what I'm replacing, my dart replacement. So I'm going to replace the 3 inches dart width that we collected from the under bust. I'll also replace the 3 inches. Then I'll replace only 1 inch because that is what we have on the hip line. So just go ahead and replace and connect. So I just added ease to that part, ease of 0.5 inch on the bust area. So you can go ahead and do the same. So we are done with the drafting right now. So everything is ready apart from the Queen Anne neckline connection, but then we want to create the bust dart. The bust dart is 2 inches because my front is shorter by 2. So I'll just create a dart at that bust dart, come out by 0.75 and connect back to the chest line to accommodate that part. So I'll now cut through the dart accommodation. So cut through the armhole. But before we continue this cutting, we have not connected the Queen Anne neckline, which is the main purpose of this tutorial. So I'm going to connect the 3 inches neckline to the dart, first dart like this, and that will serve as the Queen Anne neckline. So now that is the yoke. I'm going to now cut it out. So that is the Queen Anne, which is the yoke. I'll cut it out as you can see. I'll also go in and cut out the darts accordingly. So I'm going to replace my dart right now. I'm going to close my bust dart. That is what I meant to say. I'll close my bust dart. So I'll continue cutting this pattern. So after we are done cutting this pattern, the front part, we'll now move over to the back pattern right away. So make sure you match up the bust points and the chest line for the both of them to be sure they are equal. So after that is done, we want to shape in the down part of this pattern because it's actually a top and I don't want the down part to be straight. So I'll just come up by the side of the pattern by 2 inches. So once I come up by 2 inches, I'm going to connect it with my curve ruler as you can see. So I'll connect it and the shaded area, I'll totally cut it off. So I'm cutting it off as you can see right here. So the front pattern is ready right now. So the next is to jump into the back pattern piece. So to do that, I'm going to come back with a fresh pattern paper, and this is my center back, this is my shoulder line for the back. I'm going to retake my chest line, which is 9 inches now, and the waistline, which is 15 inches, because 2 inches was my bust dart and the front length was 17 inches. Then the length of this top is 25 inches and I made it 23, okay, because of the bust dart technique. So I'll just rule my lines across. So this is my starting line. I'll mark my neckline 3 inches and shoulder divide by 2, come down by 1 inch. Then on the chest line, I'm going to, this is my waistline and the full length, or the hip line. So on the chest line, I'm going to measure my shoulder divide by 2 so I can get a straight line for my armhole. Then I'll come down by 1 inch for the neckline. You can see is a neckline, high neckline for the back I made for the Queen Anne neckline. So on the waistline, I'll mark 1 inch and contour my back for zip bulge. So I'm cutting off that part so I don't have any zip bulge at all. So I'm going to take the measurement of my waist divided by 4 from the center back line and divide it by 2 to get my dart line for the back. I'll also do the same on the hip line, do the same on the chest line. Then I'll come down by 1 inch and connect. From the chest line, come down by 1 inch and connect those lines. So the next I'm going to do is to take half an inch on both sides and connect to nothing to the hip and to nothing to the chest line below 1 inch of the chest line. Then I'm going to take my armhole, divide by 2, come in by half an inch, connect with a straight line, then take from the center front area my bust divide by 4, which is 10 inches, and then connect with my arm curve. Now we are making a princess dart. So I decided to connect this princess dart to the armhole. As you can see, you can still come down if you want, but I just want to connect it to the armhole like that for the back princess dart. Then I'll come out by 1 inch and replace that part because it has a curve. At the end of the day, it will be shortened somehow. So I'm going to retake my bust divide by 4 and mark from the contour line. My waist divide by 4, I'm going to mark. Then I'll replace my dart of 1 inch. Then I'll connect what I have at that point. Then I'll come to the hip. My hip, I'm going to divide it by 4 and mark. There's nothing to replace right there, so I'll just use my pattern curve and connect. So if you look at this pattern, I'll come up by 2 inches again and reconnect. So if you look at this pattern, it actually looks bulky, okay, because the person who owns this pattern, that is me, the tummy area is actually big, so you just take the tummy measurement. So if you have measurements like that, there's no problem about that. So I'll go ahead and cut right now. So after cutting, this is what we got. So the pattern for the back is ready to transfer to fabric. So right there, I'm labeling B1, B2 for my back pattern. And then the front pattern, I want to make a little adjustment to it. This is the center front and this is the bust point area. So I want to replace the overbust dart. That is very important. The overbust dart was 1.5 inch we took off from the pattern. So I'm going to replace it right away with a plain pattern paper. So I want you to watch how I'm going to add this pattern up, so I'll be able to have a perfect Queen Anne neckline. So I'll just replace the 1 inch as you can see and reconnect to the armhole. So you can see the replacement, that is just the dart we took away. So after that, I'll just go ahead and cut it off. The front pattern is ready for cutting on fabric. So for this tutorial, I cut with a doll face satin fabric anyway, so I just cut the center front area. So I'm just trying to show you how it's going to look like at the end of the day. So I'm going to cut the rest of the patterns. As you can see, I'll make notches at the under bust accordingly. So I'll make notches at the under bust like that. So when sewing the bustier, it's going to be easy for me. Alright, so that is how the pattern looks like. As you can see, I added seam allowances 2 inches on the side and 1 inch on the hem. I also did the same for the back pattern piece. I added 1 inch for my zipper too. So you can see the pattern right now. I'm making notches on the waistline because this is a princess dart waistline for the back, so I need to make notch to it, and 1 inch on the hem area. So after that is done, I padded my bustier. So I'm going to sew the bustiers together. I'm done sewing. You can see what I have for the fabric area and what I have for the lining area. So I'm using the same doll face satin fabric for the both project. So you can go ahead and sew with your desired fabric. So it's time to sew the Queen Anne neckline, the yoke. So I'll just separate the yoke and put them right side to right side, and I'll move over to my machine to stitch the size of it. So I'll just go ahead and stitch at 0.5 inch and top stitch. So after that, I gave it a good press and I placed it at the ends of it like this, and I'm going to stitch. After stitching, I placed my lining on top of it like this, and I'll sew at 0.5 inch as well. So I'm done sewing. This is what I have. I'm done sewing right now. So I'm going to move over to the back, and I'm going to sew the neckline for the back. So I'll just pick up my lining and my fabric, put them together and stitch the necklines at 0.5 inch. So that is the first thing I'm going to do for the back dress right now. So after I'm done, this is what I got. So I top stitch on it and gave it a good press. Next is to place the front dress, the seam lines. I'm going to put them together, shoulder seam lines, and I'll flip one over the other with the seam lines, and I'm going to stitch at 0.5 inch for both of them. So this is what I got after I'm done. Next is to shaping the size of this dress. So I'll go over and shaping, putting lining and fabric together, so you can shape in the way you know how. So I'm done with that. Then I just thought of making a beautiful shape on the down piece of this dress. So I'm putting the sides together as you can see here, and I'm going to make that curve. So I'll pin them together, and on the side I'll come up by 3 inches. So you can come up by 2.5 inches if you don't want it too high. But if you want it to look the way my own is looking, I came up by 3 inches, and I'll bring in my pattern ruler to create that curve. So I'll just curve into it like this. So most corsets, most bustiers, blouse tops have things like this. So I'll just move over there and create that curve accordingly. So I'm going to trim off what I have right away just to create that beautiful curve on the blouse. So you can actually shape in your blouse anyhow you want it to tilt. You can use this method to make your blouse tilt that way. So I'm done cutting it off. So the next thing I'm going to do is open it up. The lining, I'm going to reduce the lining So I'll lift up the fabric and then reduce the lining. I'm reducing the lining because I want to turn it to have a perfect inseam finishing. So I'm going to take away 0.5 inch. So I'll just go ahead and cut off 0.5 inch like that till I get to the other end. So after cutting off the 0.5 inch, I'm going to put this top right side to right side. You can see it's shorter, so I'll place them right side to right side, making sure all the seams are there. And I'm going to make notches after stitching. So I'm going to turn over and top stitch. So after top stitching, I'm turning the blouse to the front piece, as you can see. Then I'll move over to give it a good press. So I'll iron that part very nicely. So after ironing, this is what I got. So it's well relaxed right now. So the next I'm going to do is to sew my zipper, and we are done with this dress. So this is my zipper. I'm going to attach the sleeve. If you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Please kindly subscribe and turn on your notification bell to receive more videos like this every day. So thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.